I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk call roll, please?
Counselor Boland?
Here.
Counselor Elliott?
Here.
Counselor Fisher?
Here.
Counselor Grizzle?
Here.
Counselor Reeskamp?
Here.
And Counselor Furlow is absent this evening.
Thank you. And just a note that we have been doing it the last couple meetings as a test, and tonight is our first night of live streaming. So the public will be aware that we're actually live streaming the meeting live and not just recorded. It will still be recorded on YouTube, but people can actually watch it in real time too. So we have approval of council minutes from February 22nd, 2017, the regular and the goal-setting session.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the council minutes from February 22nd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passes for the minutes. Consent calendar. We have the Lebanon City Council agenda from March 8th tonight, the Audit RFP Review Committee, the Budget Committee, Todd Gestrin, and the two counselors for the Audit RFP Review Committee, Pacific Power Water Treatment Plant Project, easement, and a liquor license for Lebanon Market change of ownership off-premises sales at 1695 South Main Street.
Move for approval. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Consent calendar is approved. Next up, we have two proclamations, and I will start by reading the first one, which was National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas the National Child Abuse Prevention Month began in 1983 as part of a presidential proclamation to raise awareness of the alarming rate at which children were being abused and neglected. And whereas our children are most valuable resources and will shape the future of our community, and whereas every child deserves to grow up in a healthy, safe, and nurturing environment. And whereas child abuse and neglect causes psychological, emotional, and physical harm, which can create lifelong problems for victims of abuse and impacts our entire society and our society's future. And whereas parents, families, and communities can help reduce child abuse and neglect by recognizing that prevention starts with each of us. And whereas the City of Lebanon encourages Lebanon businesses and citizens to display blue ribbons or pinwheels at your home or business during the month of April as part of the National Child Abuse Prevention Month campaign to create awareness for the needs to prevent child abuse and neglect throughout. Paul R. Zeese, Mayor. And we have the walk and the event at the Justice Center. The date on that?
On the 15th.
15th.
This Saturday.
That's right. Saturday the 15th at 9?
I believe so.
Okay,
I'm
9
doing
o'clock.
a 5K and a mile walk. So
Very good.
If anyone kind of want to come watch me pass out, I'm doing the 5K. So.
Excellent. Thank you. And we have National Library Week. Is our librarian here? I don't see her here. Okay. Whereas libraries help lives change in their communities, campuses, and schools. Whereas librarians work to meet the changing needs of their communities, including providing resources for everyone and bringing services outside of library walls. And whereas libraries and librarians bring together community members to enrich and shape the community and address local issues. And whereas libraries offer programs to meet community needs, providing Lebanon residents with story times, the summer reading program, Lego Club, Genealogy Society, and Gift of Literacy. And whereas libraries continuously grow and evolve in how they provide for the needs of every member of their community. And whereas libraries, library staff, and supporters across America are celebrating National Library Week. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Paul R. Aziz, Mayor of the City of Lebanon, proclaim April 9th through the 15th as National Library Week and encourage all residents to visit the library this week and take advantage of the wonderful resources available. And if you haven't been to our library, you need to go because it's an awesome library. And we have a great staff, and it's going to be exciting this year because we have the new gazebo, and they're going to do some of the summer reading programs out at the gazebo, so pretty exciting. Okay, next up we have Chris Latimer, the director of the Boys and Girls Club, and she's going to talk about the summer program. Hello.
Good evening.
I'm Chris Latimer, Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club.
Do I need to give my full address or just Lebanon, Oregon?
Pull the mic in towards you.
You don't need to give an address.
Okay. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
awesome.
better.
So, Chris Latimer, Lebanon, and I'm accompanied by.
I'm Tyler Grove, Operations Director of the Boys and Girls Club.
So, first off, we appreciate the opportunity to come and give you an update about the Boys and Girls Club of the Greater San Am. Lots of great things going on there, and the City of Lebanon for the last 2 years has been making an investment in that program and just providing all sorts of support all the time, monetary and with people and everything that you do for us. And so as investors, we wanted to tell you what was going on. So I'm going to see if I can drive this. Look at that. So our Boys and Girls Club has it, and we're going to skip through this because I understand we have 10 minutes, right, Linda? We're driven by a vision that believes that youth development is economic development. And I'm not going to, you can read our vision, but we're here to help make sure that the economy in Lebanon continues to grow, that our community becomes an economically vibrant place to be, and that all children have an opportunity to thrive, no matter where they come from. We're also driven to meet the needs of kids in Sweet Home in Lebanon. Everyone in the room, I think, understands that we actually have facilities in both communities. We're a combined organization. The statistics on the board, and the folks in the back of the room probably can't really tell, but the very left column says Lynn County, and those numbers are all listed in red. The Benton County numbers are all in the black, and the Oregon numbers are all in the black. And I just wanted to highlight a few of the issues that kids in Lynn County are facing, because kids in Lynn County are worse off than kids in Benton County, and they're worse off than kids across the rest of the state. And it's really pretty sad when you look at it. And this is just a sampling of the data. We're pretty much behind the rest of the state, or ahead in a bad way, in almost every data point that impacts children. Childhood poverty, food insecurity in homes. No kid should have to go hungry. This one, children ages 3 to 4 that are not enrolled in school, so this is preschool, getting kids ready to learn in kindergarten. This doesn't mean teaching kids to sit down and read and write at age 3. It just means socializing children, helping them be ready to go to school and to learn when kindergarten time comes. Our 3rd and 8th grade reading proficiency is also behind Benton County and the state of Oregon, and these are indicators of graduation rates. If I had math on here, it would be the same. We would be behind on the rest of the state. So we're going to talk in the next 5 minutes about some of the stuff that we're doing at the Boys and Girls Club to affect these rates. And I'm turning it over to Tyler.
All right, I'm going to briefly talk about the scope of what we're doing specifically in Lebanon. We're currently operating 4 different sites in Lebanon. We have our 5th Street building, which is kind of our main hub campus there on 5th Street. We have preschool through 5th grade in that building, and we're seeing over 300 kids a day just in those ages alone. We also have our Pumpkin Seed Preschool in our Kids Club Child Development Center. We have a site now at Pioneer School. We have a pre-K club, which is a no-cost preschool for families. You saw the numbers on the previous slide about lack of access for preschool-aged kiddos, and this comes at no cost, and that is in partnership with Pioneer School. We have a new building this year called The Vault, and you can see the acronym up there. That's for high school students. Basically what happened is the Lebanon Mennonite Church came to us and said, hey, we have this house, we want to serve kids, we want kids to be served, and we hear you're good at that. And we said, yes, we are, we just don't have the space to do it in for high schoolers right now. And so we partnered with Jackson Street Youth Services, and we offer a program in there for high schoolers, and we're seeing about 25 to 30 high schoolers there every day, which is really successful. We've had different events where we've seen over 50 high schoolers there, which is amazing. And then our 4th site is the Teen Center on 2nd Street, and that's in the old library. During the day, we partner with the alternative school from the Lebanon School District, and we do an augmented program called T3, which is Training Teens for Tomorrow. And then after that gets out, we have an after-school program for our middle schoolers. And all of our after-school programs go until 6:30. We have now, Greater Santiam wide, we have 10 full-time staff, 62 part-time staff, and you can see our largest number is 290 volunteers. When you're serving that many kids, it takes a lot of awesome volunteers from our community to make that happen. You saw the percentage of kids with food inadequacies on the previous slide, and we're happy to say that in Lebanon we've provided 53,000 meals in the last year, and that is on after school like a supper type snack, but it's not just your fruit roll up and Cheetos. We have just one option I pulled off the menu. We have grilled chicken, vegetables, fruit, and white milk. So no juice and chocolate milk. It's all healthy options for kids so that their hunger is quenched. And then the numbers below, 5,875 youth served. A big chunk of those kids are registered members in Lebanon at 1,910. 980 of those are in Sweet Home. And then almost 3,000 kids served in the community. This is including all of our sports programs. Many of you know we run the majority of youth sports in Lebanon. That includes kids coming in from other communities and playing sports in Lebanon in our facilities. And we can go to the next slide. Just wanted to touch briefly on our demographics. You can see a huge chunk of our kids are under the age of 12. Some of the sadder statistics on the right, every kid we serve qualifies for free and reduced lunch, and 32% live in single-parent homes, and 40%, almost half of our kids, are at or below the poverty level.
So I just want to add a little clarification around that community outreach number, because that's a big number. That also includes all the children that participate in our building in programs that we aren't necessarily providing. So all of the parenting classes that Lynn Benton Community College does, Family Tree Relief Nursery, the church that meets in our building every weekend, all the other groups that our Boys and Girls Club, which you all help support, is there to provide them places. So that's how that number gets really large, and that's a community outreach number combined for Sweet Home and Lebanon. And it does include also out-of-town kids that come and play sports and use our facilities and that sort of stuff, but aren't members of our teams or of our programs. So hopefully that makes sense.
A quick question on that last slide. 100% of your kids, you don't have one child whose
Well,
parents
in
make
Lebanon,
too much?
everybody's-
Everyone qualifies in Lebanon now.
Every kid in
everybody.
Lebanon qualifies, yeah. Because
Okay,
of the,
I got you.
Because of the poverty levels.
Good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's kind of an inflated number because of the way the school district did decide to make everybody qualify. So everybody always is curious about how the Boys and Girls Club is funded. So I'm going to take just a minute and give you a little insight to that. So you've got our budgeted income type. So these are budgeted numbers. This is our crystal ball trying to figure out where the money's going to come from to support us. And the categories it comes in. The Greater Santiam is the middle column, and the income for Lebanon is in the right column. So you'll see contracted services is a growing portion of our income. We've been really successful in the last few years in being able to secure contracts for services with organizations like the IHNCCO. They're interested in the resiliency and healthy lifestyle programs that we're doing, so we had a contract with them last year. Of course, we have our food program, which is a reimbursement program through the state of Oregon via USDA. We have our Training Teens for Tomorrow program, and our middle school program in Sweet Home called Great by 8th is funded through the State of Oregon Youth Development Council. So those are grants kind of contracts that we've been able to secure. Contributions, meaning individual giving and corporate giving, is a huge part. So here in Lebanon, that's $177,000. Fundraising, like our spring auction, which is coming up on May 6th. Get your tables now. Spring auction, fall auction, golf, ladies' night out, that's fundraising. Grants and foundations, we do pretty well there. We don't have a lot of investments. We don't have an endowment, that kind of thing right now. We don't charge a lot in membership fees, so you'll see that that's only $43,000. Our program service fees is pretty significant, especially in Lebanon, where we do have Pumpkin Seed, Kids Club, and then our after-school sports, which families are asked, pay a fee to participate in after-school sports. So you can kind of see how that fleshes out. And actually, our budgeted expenses for just our Lebanon operations are projected by the end of this budget year to be $1.3 million. We're projecting an income of just under $1.3 million. So Lebanon's actually operating in the red at this time, which is not a good place to be, and I understand that. But that's the reality of the way things go. That's the way it looks on a pie chart. And positive impact, Tyler.
Okay, our time is going quick, so I'll make this as brief as I can. Basically, when school is out, that's when kids are at the most risk of getting in trouble. And
Maybe we should just go to the next slide.
maybe we should just go to the next slide.
Because I want to be respectful of time.
Thank you.
So,
Go for it.
So I'm sorry. Can I go back up? Here.
Left arrow.
Left arrow? There's no left arrow. Anyway, this left arrow? No. That left arrow. So 3 components: academic success, good character, and citizenship, and healthy lifestyles. Those are the 3 things that are the core of the Boys and Girls Club. And what we've implemented basically over the last 18 months to move those red numbers and make them smaller or bigger appropriately is implemented some new activities. So Tyler's going to hit on a few of those, and I'm going to hit on a few.
Yeah, so
Go for it.
one thing that's brand new and that we've just started working on is partnering even more with the Lebanon elementary schools, because as our buildings are filling up and we're running out of room, the schools, we've developed a close partnership to where on the Wednesdays, now there's less Wednesdays that are half days in their new schedule. We'll actually have some of our kids stay there, and we'll send staff there to have more intimate mentoring time, tutoring time, and really some skill building time with them at school on Wednesdays, and then they would be bused over to the club as some of the kids from the club start to leave, and that'll really help just kind of give more opportunity for us to have a bigger impact with kids while they're with us. And then our community health and wellness project that we've been doing is something kind of definitely not very traditional as far as Boys and Girls Clubs go, but we've actually through that we've had a BGC application as sister. We've connected over 110 families to health insurance. So as we see kids that come to us with behavior issues, usually below that behavior issue, there's a need that they have not had met. And so we want to make sure that we not only teach the kids, how to cook and how to do things on the computer, typing and coding and whatnot, but also meet their basic needs. So we've had a lot of kids that can't get services because they don't have insurance. And so now when the kid is at the club, the parent doesn't have to go to 5 different places to get their needs. They can do that all at the Boys and Girls Club, including mental health. We have mental health services and a partner with Lynn County where they're able to spend time meeting with our kiddos.
And then just, how much time do I have, Paul?
A couple minutes.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to touch on a couple other things that I'm just super excited about. We really, like I said, youth development is economic development, right? And we need to be helping our local business and industry. And part of the issue that we're experiencing, and you all know it, in Lynn County, is a lack of folks in the pipeline for a lot of industries. And so we're involved in two projects. Our Training Teens for Tomorrow program was written into the East Lynn County Pipeline project by LBCC, which was just funded by Oregon Community Foundation and the Ford Family Foundation. So in 2018, they'll actually be putting some additional resources towards our T3 program to help us, well, we're actually going to expand that program into Brownsville Central and start serving kids in Sweet Home and T3 because we don't have that program there right now, and then increase our program here. So that's really exciting for us, and that's a pretty general program. It's to help kids explore a variety of careers. The other thing that we'll be doing in our partnerships with our school districts are incredible. And Lebanon's school district is amazing to work with. we'll be implementing or putting on an Eastland County Vocational Day in September. And we'll be bringing in Sweet Home School District, working with all of the, or a lot of the heavy construction, heavy trades around Lynn County. So I've got RFC, AARC, Ram Trucking, PAPA's coming up, LVCC's on board, Bender Mechanical. I've got just a plethora warehouser. We're going to be putting on a day where we bring in 8th through 10th graders and expose them to careers in the heavy trades and warehousing. Let's get ready for the next big Lowe's that's built here and have people that know and understand that kind of operation and the careers available there. Get their little derrieres in the seat of a cat or into the engine of a locomotive and teach them about those careers. So I'm really excited about that opportunity, and I think it's a really cool opportunity for the Boys and Girls Club to really play in a leadership role around that. I also just have to mention one more time the pre-K clubs that we're operating. Those are a direct contract with Lynn Benton Lincoln ESD, and we have one here in Lebanon and one in Sweet Home, and we expect those to continue and probably to grow over the next couple of years, so that's exciting. And I'm just going to wrap it up, and I'm going to tell you that the investment that you've been making in the Boys and Girls Club, we put that to work in our summer programs, and we want to say thank you for that, because that has really changed our ability to serve Lebanon kiddos and get them out of Lebanon during summer. It's really important, especially for kids who are in households that are in poverty, to have experiences and to be able to get out of the house, to get out of the local community, to go to the museum, go to the beach, go up and take a hike at one of the Cascade Lakes, whatever the experience is. And that's where we've used that investment. So it's offset our transportation costs, it's offset the costs for those kids to participate in that. And every single week of the summer that we run summer camp, we have an excursion where we load a school bus up and we take a whole bunch of kids from Lebanon and they go and they do something fun. And I think we're changing lives and we're changing mindsets, and so we want to thank you for your support and hope we can continue to count on it in the future. So
We actually had 9-year-olds that have lived in Lebanon their whole life that had never been to the beach, and they went for the first time thanks to what you guys were able to do last year. So thanks.
Great. Well, thank you for all that you do for our community and all of your leaders and helpers that help the kids. And when I've been over there, it's just frantic, and it's just amazing with all the kids running around and how you guys handle those kids. And it's just awesome that you have such a place kids can go and be safe. And the food program, that was the part that just opened my eyes when I saw that the first time. I didn't realize how many kids don't get meals in town. It's awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, next up we have public comments. The council welcomes all respectful comments regarding city business. Citizens may address the council by approaching the microphone, signing in, and stating their name and address for the record. Each citizen is provided up to 5 minutes to provide comments to the council. The council may take an additional 2 minutes to respond. The city clerk will accept and distribute written comments on a speaker's request. Is there anybody that would like to speak to council? Anybody in the audience? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the next item. Number 1, Cheetah Lake property ownership transfer. Trey Kennedy, city attorney, will present that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Agenda item 1 is the transfer of the Cheetah Lake property to the city of Lebanon. This is a long time coming. Obviously, this was, those of us that have been here for a long time know that they have been talking about this transfer for a long time, and it was the vision of some of the people that are in the audience today, and I'd like to welcome Mr. Passmore and Mr. Nervino, who are here on behalf of Lebanon Community Foundation. And we've kind of put together an agreement that keeps them obviously involved, but takes over the ownership to the city and the management responsibilities, as well as the vast majority of the financial aspects of the management and development of Cheetah Lake Park. The details are obviously, the key financial details are outlined in the memo. It looks like they're going to pay off a deed of trust, and this will all happen at closing. Deed of trust in the approximate amount of $95,421, a promissory note in the amount of $50,000, and then 3 Pacific Power contracts, which the city will essentially just take over in the approximate amount of $7,486. Some of these will actually be lower at closing because payments will be made. Ron keeps asking me, when are we going to do this? Because they keep making payments on it. It lowers what we're paying for it, but we're getting there.
I move we postpone another month.
But again, thank you for coming. If they have any questions, I know Jason wanted to be here for this presentation, but he's at a training session, professional training session. He would be the best to answer any actual management of the park questions. But I think that he and the foundation have worked together to bring me the deal points that were pretty easy to put together an agreement. So I appreciate that. With that, I think that if the council has any questions of either me or of Mr. Passmore, Mr. Nervino.
Did you have an update that you had mentioned to us?
There was an update. There was some discussion about some details that Mr. Passmore and I discussed today. And it was one of those things where I'm trying to get a hold of Jason, and he's in the professional training. And we've talked through it, and we believe the existing agreement covers the issues that we were talking about. And Jason and Ron have reviewed different emails between them, and they think they're on the same page.
Okay.
It was simply a matter of everybody agreed that there was going to be some management costs, obviously, to running some of these events, and whether that would be paid directly from the city for those management or development costs of those events, or whether it would be money that would just be turned over to the foundation to pay it. And my understanding is that Ron and Jason are on the same page in that certainly the city understands and respects the fact that you don't put on these events for free, and there are certain costs associated with that, and that will be part of the budget in Jason's Parks Department, but it will be coming to the city from income, and it will be going out from the city. Ron's nodding, so I think I've fairly encapsulated the discussion and the agreement.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I would recuse myself from the discussion of this subject due to my relationship with the foundation and the fact that I am the director of operations at the park, and any action that the council might take.
Thank you, Wayne.
With that recusal, I can also thank you as one of the founders of the of the Lebanon Community Foundation.
I have a question for the city manager. Gary, how is that going to affect our budget? And is that money available? And is that going to be on this budget?
Yeah, the money's coming out of the parks SDCs. We have a rather large balance there. So, and we really do need to find ways to put that money to use rather than just holding on to it. This is a great opportunity to expand our park system, to use those funds that have been set aside for that purpose. So it's simply implementing what has been legislated before and resources that have been stored up.
Okay. And also I see on here that I guess if this is approved, then that would be immediate, and then the money would be then transferred and the notes paid off.
It would be immediate at closing. The closing will occur at a later date.
Okay.
Not tonight. The agreement will be signed, if approved by council, tonight, and then we will move towards closing actually through the title company, and that's when the actual transfers of money will occur.
Yeah, the council tonight is providing the authority for me to act on your behalf to sign the agreements and bring the deal to a close.
Okay. Any questions?
I'd just like to thank Trey and Jason both for the efforts they brought to the table.
Good. Come forward, Ron.
Sure.
Please.
You all know me, I'm Ron Passmore, Vice President of the Foundation. And I'd like to thank Jason and Trey both for working with us to get this agreement crafted. And the Foundation board supports it 100%, and they're ready to move forward. We've pretty much got the summer schedule all lined up, so we're ready to go. And
Great.
I think we're excited most about seeing the ability to have an advancement of the improvements out there and the things that we can do for the kids in the ballparks and the amphitheater and those things that will come to fruition quicker with the monies that I think we can attract with grants.
And we're going to make that thing wheelchair accessible very quickly.
Yes, that's a big one. That's a big
Very
part
good.
of it.
Yes. Great. Well, thank you very much for all you guys have done. Appreciate it. And Wayne also, even though you've recused yourself. But thank you, Wayne, for all the work all you guys have done. Appreciate it. Any other discussion?
I'd move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Cheetah Lake property ownership transfer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it. Number 2, presenting and accepting the city's 2016 audit report. Dean Bach.
So I'm Dean. I'm the city's finance director. I'd like to apologize first. We still have not received the written reports from the audit team.
Can you pull the microphone closer? Can't hear you.
There we go. Sorry. So we have not received our hard copies of the audit from the audit firm yet. So I did email a copy to each of you. I hope you had a chance to look at that and all the letters that come along with it. So I'm real quick. I'm going to go through the audit. I'm going to kind of try to do this the way they would do it, kind of hit the highlights and go through here. So first thing I'm going to look at is, if I go through here, is page 2 of the city's audit. And what I want to point out there is it says, we believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is business type activities, which is all of our enterprise funds. They had an increase this year of about $3 million. All this is a majority of that is due to an increase of capital projects we've done. We've added more assets to the enterprise funds. On the other side, we have the general activity, which is basically all the rest of our funds. That reduced by $5 million this year. A majority of that is due to what we call GASB 68. It's a new, GASB is the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. Most accountants, if you ask them, don't like them because they come up with all these weird ideas. But one of their ideas the last couple of years was, and this is not a bad one, they're bringing all the unfunded liability onto our books. So you can see it out on the PERS reports, out on their reports, but they think each city should put that into ours. So of that $5 million, we show a reduction. 3.6 million of that is due to our PERS unfunded liability. So that's something that has never showed on our books before, so it hit us this year. There's a lot of cities, if you went and looked at them, that dropped their general stuff to negative because their unfunded is a lot bigger than ours. So, and then the other little over $1 million is pretty much from the URDs because they roll into this number 2 in this part of the budget. And most of that is because we've done a lot of projects like the Northwest URD. We've spent the cash down a lot the last couple of years. That's a continuation of that. In the North Gateway URD, you'll see that we had what they put in here as an $800,000 over budget. What that is, it's an uncash expenditure. As Samaritan Health builds on their property down here, the URD takes on the SDCs. And we've been tracking those every year. Well, this year the auditor said, we need that as an expense. So they just recorded an $800,000 expense, which put us over budget. You'll also see that up in the management letter. Now, that's the only spot in the entire budget where we did an over expenditure, and it was a non-cash expenditure. So we don't agree with that. So
yeah, I'll add emphasis to that. We don't agree with that. It's taking a liability and now saying it's an expense.
Yeah.
We didn't spend anything. It's something that we are going to pay off over time that they have not done in previous years. Suddenly it becomes a total expense in 1 year. We don't agree with that, but such as it is, an independent auditor can do what they want.
Yes. So that's the way the accounting goes. So the next page I want to jump to is page 16. This kind of shows you what's going on. When you look here, it shows the general fund balance is up. All the special revenues, fund balance, they're up. The Northwest Northwest URD, the fund balance is down. Just for the reason I'm saying, we spent all that money on projects, is what we've been planning for years. The Cheetah Lake URD is down. The reason for that is I chose to, we owed some money through an economic development agreement to McKinney Apartment Complex. And so what I did is I went through and paid off that debt. It was $291,000. Getting us ready, we're going to issue some debt in this fund later on this year for the Airport Road, Russell Drive, the park,
Gardens.
the community garden. We're going to issue a debt coming up this spring. So what I wanted to do is pay off all the debt last year so that fund is debt-free, makes us look better as we go into the funding cycle. North Gateway, it's down because of the SCCs we took on. The debt service fund, it's up, and all the capital projects fund balances are up. Everything is up. You know, if you look at the fund balances, they all look good. Then we jump over to, we just talked about that. That was the one over expenditure. I jump over to cash balances, you know, across everything. This is kind of, I track the cash just as I'm looking at it. Everything we have is up except for the couple we talked about. The general fund is up $535,000 over last year's cash. Special revenues are down a little bit because we're spending money on projects. All three URDs are down a little bit. Debt service is up, and all the capital projects are up. So we have more cash this year than we had last year. So another good sign the city's kind of meeting our targets that we're looking for.
Yeah, I should add that the council adopted some financial policies about 2 years ago, and that we're actually ahead of schedule on the reserves that you set for us. So, and we can get into more detail at budget time on that, but we're sitting in a pretty good position now.
Good. I did want to back up to a couple pages. On page 23 to 55, they're called all the notes to the financial statements. If you read through there, it's a lot of accounting stuff. It basically says, here's how we keep our books, here's how we do our accounting. They go through how our PERS liability is, they come to our PERS liability. I think this year they added like 6 pages because of the PERS liability. That note's like 10 pages long now, and they're looking at making it longer. If you want to see what all of our debt is, there's a list of all of our debt, what's outstanding. All that's in the notes. Another good place to go just to skim and take a look at what are different items for the city. Good spot. Talk about that one. Where am I at? Right here, that. And if you get back to page 57 to 58, that's where they have all the budget to actual, and you'll see that in every case, we tried really hard over the last couple of years to have no over budgets. Then they caught us with that one because, you know, we got tired of being written up because we'd be over by 2,000 here or 1,000 there. So we tried real hard. So there's no other over budgets in the city's accounts. Then we jump over and we have the 3 URDs. As I said, if you read through on each of those, the opinion is the same way. It says they find everything presented fairly in all material respects and for financial stuff. All 3 of them have the same. In each of these, the net position, which is what we talked about a little while ago, is down lower than last year. Again, Northwest is because we've been spending all the money on, Ron's been spending it on the water plant, Oak Road. He's had a lot of projects he's done. I think we've done all the projects now. So over the next few years, all we're going to see is debt service, pretty much debt service out of that. I don't think we have any more projects scheduled for that fund for Northwest. So that one's going to slowly get down to where it's just paying the debt. I mean, we talk about that. If that's one fund we're looking at this year, underfunding is so we're not collecting all the funds. So we've asked a contractor to give us how that will affect the fire department, the school, when we underfund that, how much money will go back out to all of us. We're waiting for that number to come in now. So that's kind of exciting. That one's starting to die, you know, or just it's down to debt service. Cheetah Lake URD. Again, that's one where everything's down a little bit, and the only reason is because we're looking at issuing debt this year, and I paid off a huge debt. The debt wasn't due to be paid off. It would have been like another 5 years. But because we're doing a new debt issue out of this, we wanted to have this fund as clean as we can get it, in as good a position as we can get it. One thing I should say is in the Cheetah Lake URD and the North Gateway URD, the tax revenue we're getting out of both of those is a lot higher than we expected. North Gateway, I think we budgeted $250,000 in revenue. We brought in almost $500,000 of taxes this year. So, which is going to allow us to pay off these SDCs a lot faster. So we get those off our books and get rid of them over the next few years. We also use that fund to pay back Samaritan Hospital for all the infrastructure they're doing down there. The city has an economic development agreement that we repay them out of the tax revenues for any public infrastructure they put in. So they put in water pipes, storm drains, the roads. We're reimbursing them for that. So they basically given us a loan, and now we're paying that back to them. We did an amendment to our agreement this year, and part of the agreement I asked for and we lowered our interest rate from 6 down to 4. So that'll help us be able to pay them back more each year because we locked in our interest rate as a good rate. So,
Dean?
Yes, sir.
Did you say Cheetah Lake was coming in higher than expected?
Yes, Cheetah Lake came in a little bit higher. The revenues did, but because I paid off $300,000 in extra debt, I used all that extra and kind of spent it down.
Yeah, because I was under the impression that was part of the reason for the extension was the lower than expected.
No, Cheetah Lake, North Gateway is in, all the Samaritan stuff is in North Gateway.
Right.
Cheetah Lake, we're looking at doing the extension, the airport road and all those. So I'm looking at issuing another close to $4 million bond this spring to pay for those projects.
But we extended the URD.
Yes, we extended the URD, and we also added some more property to it to expand it. And so that will give us an additional revenue. It will also give us some enough time to pay back the debt that we got coming in, because that URD was scheduled to expire sometime in the next couple of years.
2018.
Yeah, So we couldn't have went out and issued a debt for the new roads because debt's going to be at least 15 years, and that would have been past the end of the URD. Okay. So we had to extend the URD out to be able to issue the debt to do these projects. So,
does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Ish, yeah.
I can restate it if you want.
I'm following.
If you need something else, let me know. I'm probably talking too fast.
No, I'm listening too slow, Dean. That's fine.
So that's pretty much where all the accounting side is. When we jump up real quick to the front, they've got the management letters. If you read those, there's 3 management letters. They pretty much have the same thing written in each one. The main thing is that they talk about the SDCs being put through equity instead of expense. That's the one we don't agree with, because let's just say the way that it was done, it's messing up our next year's budget. So I have to do some stuff to fix that because of a non-cash item.
I have a quick question about that. So we disagree. It is the opinion of the accounting firm.
Right.
So are we free to disagree and keep doing it the way we agree that it should be done, and then nothing needs to happen?
Well, what they've done is they've made some journal entries to the accounts, and I have to do something in the current year, and they told me I can do this because they're rolling it through the end of the year. So I have to go back now to July 1 this year and fix it so this year's not messed up. It's a bunch of weird stuff.
Basically move it off of cash, right?
Yeah, it's to deal with the cash. The way Oregon is, from last year, revenues over expenditures, I have to budget this year. That's part of my budgeted revenue.
But you disagree with having to move the money in the first place.
Well, the reason is because what they did is they put an $800,000 item, non-cash item, into expense, which made me carry a negative $800,000 beginning balance.
So
So I have to fix that.
Right, but that's my question, I guess. They make the decision where that money goes, even though we disagree with that movement.
They have the authority to make changes after the fact, after the fiscal year. We really don't have anything to say about it except to object. And our audit goes to the state that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when the state will send us a letter saying, explain why you did this, and we will explain, and, they'll go, don't do it again, and we'll explain why we did it.
That bugs me because different.
We did nothing wrong.
We did nothing wrong, and it's an opinion of a firm of how to do it, and we get audits at the credit union, and they're government people, and they will issue an opinion of how they want us to do something, and we are free to disagree with that, and our board of directors can say, we disagree with that, and so we're going to agree to disagree, but we win in that case, unless you can show me hard evidence of why I'm wrong in writing.
We don't win in that case. We have to go back and make other adjustments in our books to take this imaginary expense and take it out of the cash category, which it never was cash, and put it aside in another account, so then we can have the real positive cash balance that we really have. Okay. So it's a lot of extra accounting work just to satisfy
silliness,
an idea of how they thought we should have done it.
So, yeah.
And if next year we have a different accounting firm that disagrees with this one's, we can.
Then next year will stand on its own. It'll just be simply different.
Yes, and we'll discuss this with the new firm.
All right.
So, and there's two other things oh, yes, sir.
Question around what this audit did. Would you say that's a trade across the state for auditing firms to take that kind of action with other municipalities?
I will say I talked to a number. I spent the last 4 days at finance officers conference, and they said yes. There's times that they don't agree. As one guy put it, auditors don't understand day-to-day operations. All they see is GASB. It says black, white. But that black, white, you can't do it day-to-day. It doesn't work all the time. But all they see is black, white, and that's what they go by. That's what they have to do. So other cities go through the same issue of take what the auditors do and then make it work day-to-day. So that's what we're doing.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep. The two other things, one has to do with the Strawberry Plaza, which we talked about back in July when again, that write-up I don't agree with. I'm really angry about it because at year end we had made no expenditures. There was no debt. There was nothing. We reversed that and we fixed it on July. They still wrote us up. But that's there, but this city is taking care of it. In July, we fixed that issue. So that was that. And the other one has to do with our end-of-the-year bank rec. The accounting managers and my staff, they couldn't get it to balance. There was something, they were missing something. So we basically plugged $24,000 going, we're going to find this. And we did. We found it as we were going through our audit stuff. And they said, if you would have posted that to miscellaneous revenue or miscellaneous expense, we wouldn't have cared. It's just the way we did it that they didn't like. Okay. We won't do it that way again. We'll always post it in and post it out. That's okay. But that's what that was. When you read it, it sounds like they've done something horrible. The sky is falling. No, it's because we're trying to get ready for audit, and you had to have that balance to work on audit. And like I said, as we went through audit, we found what it was. We found a cash entry from almost a year ago from a previous employee who did a one-sided cash entry, just forgot the other half of the entry, and that's what it was. And we found that through our system.
How was that a year later?
It was back at the beginning of the year of last year. So we're doing the audit after July. Well, that entry happened back at the beginning of last year.
And there was no reconciliation from the beginning of last year until...
I have no clue. It went through, and all of a sudden when we were doing something here at the end of the year, it popped up. The other employee left in February, and this entry was done in January. So I will say that the employee doing the bank recs was a few months behind, and she was catching up. And that's when it all kind of, it's not there.
Because that's a long, January last year is a long
Yeah.
time
This employee
to
came-
have a reconciliation error.
Well, this employee came to work here at the beginning, sometime February, March, and so she was like 4 or 5 months behind in bank recs. And as she was catching them up, that's when it just kind of went, oh, it kind of hit her. So that's what it was, and we ended up finding the number on this one-sided thing, and the other employee just forgot to post the one side of the entry. So
Are we current now?
yes, she's current. So that is the audit. If you have any questions, and then if I ever get the printed ones, I'll get you a copy of it. That would be the end of the staff report. If there's any questions.
Dean, when was the audit due to you guys?
4 months ago.
And when did you get it?
In our contract, it's due to us November 30th, which means I needed to get it like the middle of November so I can have it reviewed and ready to council for December. I got it on February 28th.
Wow.
So.
Yeah.
And for the record, the auditors traditionally consult with me both before and after an audit. Before to ask me questions about the integrity of our system, after to report to me what they have found. I received no communication from the auditor until late into the process after they had done their on-site work, which is usually where the communication with me happens. And it was much later that I got one email from them having to do with, I think, the timeliness of the audit. Other than that, they did not talk to your city manager.
So we're shopping for a new auditor?
We are.
And I will say he got that email because I emailed the auditors asking for it, and when they emailed back, they CC'd him. So all communication with them has been instigated by me.
Okay.
And I get answers. So, but, we're not going to sit here and drag things through the mud. I just moving on.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, have the city attorney read the resolution.
Resolution number 2017-3, a resolution accepting the City of Lebanon audit report for year ending June 30th, 2016.
Move for approval.
Second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2017-3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The resolution passes. Thank you, Dean. Next up, repealing Resolution 2013-7, Audit Committee. Dean Baugh.
Excuse me. So back in 2013, right at the end of City Manager Hitt's era, we implemented it. We adopted Resolution 2013-7, which put in place a audit committee. We used that audit committee one time, and that was when we hired the current auditors. Since then, the City Council has acted as the audit committee, which is the way I've had it in most other cities I've worked with. City Council does that. I've spoken with Gary, and he says every city he's worked with that has a city manager form of government, the City Council acts as the audit committee. So what we're looking for here is just to repeal 2007 to the 2013-7 to repeal the audit committee and eliminate that committee from our register, and we'll continue to use the City Council as the audit committee.
In fact, under your consent agenda tonight, you approved an item that sets up the committee that's going to review this latest RFP with 2 representatives from the council. So we're kind of doing the same thing in a different way and cleaning up our books.
Yeah, and I do remember that was when we weren't sure of what was happening, and we just wanted to get things cleaned up.
Well, and there was, we'll go back, there was some contentious things going on council at that time, and that satisfied one council member to do at that time.
I remember that.
We'll leave it at that.
Yes, we will.
Yes.
And so that's why that was all done way back when. Now we're just all happy. So, and
okay.
so that
Any
would be in the
questions?
council staff report.
We'll have the city attorney read the resolution.
Eventually.
Resolution number 2017-4, a resolution repealing Resolution 2013-7, creating the City of Lebanon Audit Committee.
Move for approval. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2017-4. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. Number 4, urging Oregon Legislature to restore recreational immunity. Dean Baugh.
Okay. What we're asking for here is about 3-4 weeks ago, LOC came out and said they've got some legislation going to the state to try to fix the recreational immunity problem we have now. The way it used to work was if somebody got hurt, we were exempt. We had recreational immunity as long as we could show we didn't do nothing wrong. There was a case in Portland last year, like in the last 13, 14 months, where a lady stepped in a hole. Okay, the city claimed recreational immunity. She had a good lawyer. They went around and sued the employee. And the court said the employee does not have recreational immunity. As we all know, in Oregon, if one of our employees gets sued and they were working for us, now the city's going to cover them and pay the bill. So in them, the city got hit with the claim. So the recreational immunity was bypassed. So what the LOC is now doing, and they're working with some legislators, is to, and this also works for any private, not only just cities, but if you had your own land and you allowed folks to come on it for recreational purposes, you would have recreational immunity. But if you had employees out on a private property and you allowed this, it could still come around and get you. So pretty much recreational immunity has been lost in a lot of places. So they're now trying to change it to where recreational immunity goes to your employees and that, which will, again, put it back in place. And recreational immunity is pretty much only in place if you provide the property at no cost. Our parks are at no cost, so we should be covered by that. But with this new rule, if they can find an employee who left a rock out there, they can do it. So what this has caused is a lot of places are doing no maintenance. They're letting everything go wild. They're just letting the parks go wild. So they're not doing anything. It's taking care of it. But we don't want to see that. We want to keep our parks nice. So what this resolution does is, and this is a resolution that was written by LOC, and they're asking a lot of cities to pass this. So we've taken their language, put it here, and we're asking the city to do this, and tomorrow morning we'll send it off to LOC as support as they go to the state. That would be the staff report. Is there any questions?
Trey, have you gone over that, and do you have any comments on it?
A little bit. I mean, I think I don't know if it was about a year ago, we talked a little bit about the Supreme Court case. Yeah. And the Supreme Court case was interesting in facts, but obviously not a pro-municipality or public entity type of a decision, which we're starting to get a little bit more of out of the Supreme Court. It was, a blind jogger who stepped in a hole and hurt herself. And like Dean said, they sued the employee, and the city had to step in and defend them. Obviously, this is a big issue not only for the municipalities but for the insurance companies, and they are certainly LOC and City County Insurance are pushing this issue. I think we made certain recommendations to Jason and worked with Jason to make certain postings and various things that we believed would at least help us maintain our immunity to the maximum extent possible, pending hopefully a legislative action that would extend it common sensely. It's a word you would choose, right? Common sensely to not only include the municipality but those working for the municipality. So it is a big issue, and it's something that the League of Oregon Cities and the insurance companies are pushing strongly. If any of you have personal connections or know or talk with, and maybe even see Kate Brown in the near future, we could maybe stress the importance of this action.
Good topic of discussion at the table. Any questions? Okay, would you read the resolution, please?
Resolution of the City of Lebanon recommending restoring recreational immunity rights, resolution number 2017-5.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2017-5. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. Thank you, Dean. Authorization to apply for an Oregon Parks Department grant for Century Park Improvement Project. Linda Kaiser.
Obviously, I'm not Jason, but since he's not here tonight, he asked if I'd present this. So staff is asking for council approval to apply for the 2017 local government grant program for improvements at Century Park. If the city receives the grant, the funding would assist with the removal and new construction of the shelter and restroom facility, rehab of the sports courts, and turf for the softball, baseball fields. Staff anticipates receiving notice of the award by this fall, and should we receive notice to proceed, Jason estimates that the project would be completed during the summer of 2018.
Good. Questions? Like to see that happen. Have the city attorney read the resolution, please.
Resolution number 2017-6, a resolution authorizing the City of Lebanon to apply for the 2017 Local Government Grant Program large grant from the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department for upgrades to Century Park.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2017-6. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. Thank you, Linda.
For Jason.
Number 6, amending Chapter 5.22 to include zoning language for medical marijuana dispensaries. Walt Wedlowski.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. If you recall, we came to the council actually December of 2015 to adopt regulations with regard to medical marijuana dispensaries. We've also subsequently made code language with regard to recreational marijuana businesses. In looking at our current language for recreational marijuana, I noted that we specifically identified the zones. Going back to the medical marijuana, we simply said these are allowed wherever medical offices would be allowed. I think it just makes sense for the purpose of clarity, also easier for staff, easier for the public that we specifically identify those zones. And in this case, there's only two basic zones that this could occur in, which is the highway commercial zone and also the downtown zone. So just for purposes of clarity, we are suggesting we amend that one line, J, dispensary shall be limited to the highway commercial zone and the central business commercial zone. There are no other changes with regard to this ordinance. So again, it's really a matter of clarity. If that's acceptable to the council, we've included ordinance for your consideration.
Any questions? Okay, have the city attorney read the ordinance.
Ordinance Bill number 2017-9, ordinance number 2897, a bill for an ordinance amending Chapter 5.22 of the Lebanon Municipal Code regulating medical marijuana dispensaries.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance bill number 2017-9. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes, or the ordinance passes. Thank you, Walt. Number 7, City Manager's Report. Gary Marks.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, my report is in the packet. I'll be happy to respond to any of the items there. However, I wanted to spend my time maybe in a little different direction tonight. Next week will mark the completion of my 3rd year as your city manager, and kind of on those milestones of the year, I kind of like to look back at where I've been as the manager and where our organization has come from. So if you'll indulge me, just a kind of a mini state of the city. And the reason is because I'm really very excited, folks, of where we have come from and where we're about to embark to. We have set ourselves up very well, and we're moving aggressively in several very positive directions for our community. Of course, you know, we invested a lot of time into our community vision, our strategic plan, Once that was implemented, we've been working on those action items. There are 36 of those items in the plan that call for specific city leadership. 17 of those we've either completed or are working on them now. So nearly half of our task, which we saw over a 5-year period, we're actually within the first year actively working on those. City Council, as you know, just adopted your set of goals, which in many ways mirror what the community had told us through the strategic action plan. So I think we're all kind of synced well together. You've given us as staff some clear direction on where you would like us to focus our energies as we go forward. Just some things that we're moving forward on now. The Arts Commission, you just completed your work of appointing folks to that. We're about to have our first meeting in a couple of weeks. I'm excited about that and how we're going to be able to use the arts to help enliven our community members and bring them together to achieve that the community building aspects of our community vision. Of course, you've just put the downtown restoration program in place. We've had 3 inquiries on the program from property owners, and we're working with those individuals now, and hopefully we'll have our initial loans come out of that initial group. Strawberry Plaza, if you've noticed, is now moving forward on track for our grand opening the Friday of the junior parade during Strawberry time. So I'm very excited about that. The water treatment plant, we anticipate we'll be breaking ground in May on that long-awaited project, and in fact we're having a special meeting later this month where you'll be looking at awarding the contract for that work. The Airport Road Extension project, we're expecting that to break ground here in a couple of months. Same with the Russell Drive improvements. We're looking at the Porter Park Community Garden getting underway this fall. And then I'm very proud of our staff and the things we've done through our safety committee, the awards we've received over the last few years, our recognition as an all-star employer for the state of Oregon through the Samaritan group, all speak well to our team and how well we're working together, and we emphasize safety of our fellow employees. And in my review of our staff, I find our morale is very high. We work well with our unions, which I'm proud of, and I just feel a good sense of movement now, and I'm excited to be your city manager, and I'm looking forward to many exciting things this year and in the years to come. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to respond to those.
Well, I'm very pleased. I think that we all made the right decision when we hired Gary, and your leadership has been invaluable to our city. I like where we're at. I like where we've come from and gone, and it's just an exciting time. And I appreciate everything you've been doing, Gary.
You know, and I really have to take this back to our staff, or my management team. Those are the folks who are really making these things happen. And you've given me clear vision on where you want to go. I've appreciated that. This council works very well together, but I think the success we see as an organization is coming from the team, and I feel blessed to have every single one of them on my group of folks. And anyway, just wanted to make sure that everyone understands that. It's the team.
We do have good staff, too. Thank you very much. Any other comments? Questions? Thank you, Gary. Any items from council?
I will be absent at the March 22nd meeting. I'll be at a State Fire Marshal's training session in Central Oregon. So,
last night was the Distinguished Service Awards banquet. It was a great time. It was fun. It was exciting, and Jason had a really nice post on Facebook about how exciting it is to go to these events, these Distinguished Service Awards, and see all the people that volunteer and contribute to our community and do things. And Trey, Man of the Year, congratulations. And I just there were a lot of great people that were acknowledged, and even down to some of the smaller organizations that were promoting who their person was. It's just always a fun time, and it's just neat to see our community. And
We had the Woman of the Year here earlier, right, Chris?
oh, Chris, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, Chris was the
Business
Woman of the Year.
person.
Oh, business leader.
Business leader, yeah. There were so many awards. It's hard to remember them all. And the Roaring Twenties theme was kind of fun too. So
Yeah, that was super fun.
It was very fun. We enjoyed the
I
whole
thought the
night.
food was excellent.
What? The
food.
food? Yes.
Oh,
yes. And Boulder Falls has been the nicest place to go to these events. It's always great.
Did we ever think we were going to outgrow Boulder Falls?
Oh, I know.
Can you imagine when we were at the Elks?
I know.
I would like to point out that I was going to I had a very elegant speech to introduce Ty Tomlin, the 5A coach, and right before that they said the 2 minutes, and I was going to mention the one of the coolest things I've seen was I actually had the story about my dad giving the key to the city when he was mayor of my small town growing up, and how that kind of made me tear up when we had the football team in here and gave them the key to the city. So nobody got to hear that part. They just got to see me bawl like a baby when I saw my little son out there in his bow tie after I accepted the award. So, but thank you very much.
Welcome. Okay, public comments. Another opportunity for anybody to speak that would like to speak to council. Okay. See none. Items from press? Questions?
Yep, we can do that.
Yes. Anything else? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll break into executive session. And executive sessions are closed to the public due to the highly confidential nature of the subject. It's unlawful to discuss anything outside of executive session. Final action decisions are to be made in the open session if we come back into that.